So this is how we are going to use social media to close the Oxido fundraise, and specifically how we are going to produce and distribute different types of content across different channels and accounts to generate what I think is possible: 2.5 million unique impressions, 15 to 2,500 qualified prospects, and ideally that one co-guarantor partner that we need, with, of course, the added benefit of all the awareness and potential customers going forward with the project. So before getting into the specifics, just to cover the traditional capital raise process and why I thought it was necessary to take a different approach on this project. You're usually starting with your investor list, however broad it may be. That is the first big limiter. You are then running outreach and trying to, in the second big limiter here, in one point of contact, in one motion, both introduce the project and the concept and try to educate and sell the investor on all the different layers of that project and concept. And especially on a project like this that is so layered, that is a tall order. That's a big hill to get over in one motion. On top of that, you are trying to create a sense of scarcity and urgency to act, because without that, especially in hospitality and especially in weaker market periods, people have a tendency to delay decision making. So I've thought a lot about how to get over these challenges and increase the potential of a successful raise. And I think it boils down to three key areas, being increasing and broadening that top of funnel, opening up that initial limiter, spreading out the pitch and breaking it down into bite-sized chunks that people are more ready and able today to accept, and then doing more to create a sense of scarcity and urgency to act. And a lot of this is being driven by the recent Hotel Pearl pre-launch, because that was theoretically the same thing, just driving people to act on purchasing room nights at the hotel, but employing the same process of opening up a top of funnel, spreading out the pitch over time, building up hype and awareness, and then creating that sense of scarcity at the end, dropping that campaign. So this is how it looks like in a capital raise scenario. Basically, we are going to be posting different types of content across different channels, including in that content calls to action to a link in bio and landing page where people can put in their email, bringing people into more of a one-to-one direct contact relationship, and dripping out over time further information in bits and pieces about the concept, the theory behind it, the different layers of the project, also through further social content spread out across the campaign, narrowing down these contacts to a specific focused investor prospect list. And then ultimately at the end of the campaign, direct outreach, driving people to our deal page that has the pitch for the deal, including the long form video that we filmed on site with analytics so we can see who's viewing, focus in on those top prospects, drive people to get on calls, get final indications of interest and commitments, and ideally close in this scenario with that one co-guarantor partner. And the reason I think this is going to be really effective is because the frameworks and strategies that I've seen to be most successful on capital raises are very hard to pull off with that one point of contact in one motion in a traditional capital raise process. Namely, breaking down the project into its different layers of context from the most broad down to the specific, creating a sense of story and emotional buy-in and momentum by doing that, and taking the pressure off the project and its unique attributes as the decision maker, and rather just introducing the market, highlighting the problem gap that we know to exist, and positioning that project as the solution. I've seen this to be the most effective approach on a capital raise. And by doing this content campaign, we can take all the different layers and pieces of our project in this pitch, and rather than delivering it all at once, break it up across the campaign, have people nodding along with us as they see this campaign develop, so that when we do get to the end of the funnel, they're already in agreement with a lot of the theories and even the details of the project and why we've chosen to produce the concept that we have. The other thing that this campaign strategy allows us to do, specifically by going out through my personal accounts, is present the raw, unfiltered process and story behind the project. I've seen this have tremendous success on my completed projects in creating buy-in from customers. People get bought in on story. Story sells. Humans are emotional people. And if we can show them the progression of this project, the amount of work that we've put in, all the different layers and the different decisions that we've made over time, and not only will create this story and this emotional buy-in, it will help establish our authority and credibility and the validity of the project, because people will see why we made all the pivots and changes and moves that we did, how we ultimately ended up with this product, this concept, and they will have the same level of conviction that we do internally because we've seen all this happen. In a traditional capital raise process, you don't have any opportunity to lay that all out. By going about it in the way that I'm proposing here, we will have the opportunity to bring them through that entire story. So where we're at and what it looks like going forward, after I set the initial strategy, which we just went over, I thought about specifically the distribution approach and then laid out some initial creative direction. I then went to gather every single asset from the very beginning of this project up until the present. I brought this in and organized it into one single asset bank, and then seeing what we had to work with, moved to create and lay out the different posts for across the campaign, and then went into scripting out the specific posts before moving into production where we're at now. And I'm working with a videographer and graphic designer, going back and forth with comments and edits to end up with this final content bank. And the plan is then to launch the campaign on April 30th at the latest. We'll end up with 50 to 60 posts. I think we can expect at least 50,000 views per post, generating 2.5 to 3 million total impressions over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, with the final 3 to 7 days really ramping up those call to actions and then ultimately driving people through that end of funnel, the deal page, calls, indications of interest, and closing. And if there's any doubt on the quality of prospects that can come through social, as I've had that doubt before myself, just in the last couple of weeks, I've had people from family offices in very established development and investment firms reach out to me on social media regarding new potential projects elsewhere. Those people are not only prospects for this deal, it's just indicative of who is on social. And what I've come to realize over the last 2 to 3 years of building my channels is that everybody is on social, from chief investment officers down to standard retail investors. And I'm confident if we can just open up that top of funnel, the right people are within that mix. And if we can then move them through the story of the project, the different layers of the project, get them bought in before even introducing that investment opportunity, and then really creating that sense of scale on the campaign, that sense of scarcity and urgency, I think we have the greatest chance of closing this successfully. So that's the strategy and the go forward. I'll make more updates as we move towards the launch at the end of the month.